Baruchim haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem on Daf Chof Tes Amud Beis at the very top. The Gemara is discussing various mistakes a person can make while davening the Shmona Esrei. Says the Gemara, Omar Rabbi Tanchum, Omar Rabbi Asi, Omar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Tov lo hizkir shorosh chodesh ba'avoida, choizer la'avoida. If a person made a mistake on Rosh Chodesh, either during Shacharis or Mincha, and then he didn't say Ya'aleh v'yavoy in the proper place in Avodah, he's choizer la'avodah. Nizgar ba'hoidah, choizer la'avodah. If he remembers only after saying Moedim, then he goes back to Avodah. Besim Shalom, choizer la'avodah. Also, if he remembers Besim Shalom, he goes back to Avodah where he can say Ya'aleh v'yavoy. However, if he completes the Shmona Esrei, then he must go back to the beginning. And again, we're not talking about at night during Mariv, but rather during the morning, either Shacharis or in the afternoon Mincha. At Mariv, since you can't make Kaddish the Chodesh at night, so therefore you're not required to go back and say Ya'aleh v'yavoy again if you missed it on Rosh Chodesh. Now the Gemara qualifies its statement that a person who's Messiah the Shmona Esrei, he goes back to the beginning. Omar Apapa Bered Rav Acha Bar Ada, Hoda Omaran Siyem Choizer L'Rosh, Lo Omaran Ele She'okar Raglov, Ava Lo Okar Raglov Choizer La'avoida. He says that if a person, when does he have to go back to the beginning? That's only if he was Oker Raglov, he took it 3 steps back, then he must go back to the beginning. But anything short of that, he can go back to Avoida and continue from then. He said to him, where do you know this halacha? I heard it from Abba Mori. The Abba Mori may Rav, and Abba Mori, he learned it from Rav. Says the Gemara to further qualify what we just said. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok, Hoda Omaran Oker Raglov, that which we just said, that a person who takes the 3 steps back and he's oiker his raglaim, he has to go back to the beginning of the Shmona Esrei in order to then say Ya'aleh v'yavo in that Shmona Esrei. Lo yamorn ele she'eino rogil loimer tachanunim. That's only because he's not accustomed to saying tachanunim. Achar tfilosai. Aval rogil loimer tachanunim achar tfilosai choizer la'avoida. If a person normally says Lokai Nitzor and all the other supplications that he might make, personal supplications after the Shmona Esrei, then he's not completely finished with the Shmona Esrei, and therefore he would go back to the Avodah. Ike da Amrei, there are those that say, Omar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok, Hoda Omoran ki lo yoker raglov, choizer la'avodah, that he was not oiker his raglaim, then he goes back to the Avodah. When is that true? Lo yamoran ele sherogil loimer tachanunim, achar tfilosoi. But if he's not rogel omar tachinim, even though he's not oiker raglayim, he goes back to the beginning. So it comes out, according to the first lashon, that a person was not oiker raglov, even if he does not say derech tachanunim, or he's rogel omar tachanunim, even if he was oiker raglov, then he would go back to ritzei. However, according to the second lashon, even if he was not oiker raglov, if he does not normally say tachanunim after his tefillah, then he will go back to the beginning. Now the Gemara quotes the Mishnah that says, Rabbi Eliezer oimer ha'oiset tfiloso keva, a person who makes his tefillah keva. What is meant by making his tefillah keva? Ask the Gemara, my keva. So the Gemara brings a few different explanations. Omar Rav Yaakov bar Idi, Omar Rav Oshaya. A person who makes his tefillah like a burden, he wants to be pushing off a heavy burden from his shoulders. It's a choiv, and therefore it's considered to be a choik keva, a choik kavua. That's such a tefillah. Rabbon Amrei, kol mishi einoi oima beloshin tachanunim. A person doesn't say a beloshin tachanunim, that he's coming to then ask tzrochov, then that's considered to be keva. He just says it by a nusach. He's reciting the words themselves without any intention of asking and supplicating before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Rav Yosef the Amrei Travayu kol she'eno yochel lechadesh b'davar. They both said that a person is not able to mechadesh something in his tefillah. Rather, it's a tefillah that's keva, just like it was yesterday's Shmona Esrei and the day before Shmona Esrei. It's today's Shmona Esrei, and therefore there's nothing new about it. It's the same Shmona Esrei that's keva. A person not mechadesh anything new in his tefillah. I'm able to mechadesh something in my tefillah, but I don't do so. But I don't do so because I'm concerned, I'm afraid that I might make a mistake. Abai bar Avin, Rabbi Chanina bar Avin, the Amrei Travayu, they both said, Kol she'ein mispalel im dimdume chamo. It means, keva, that a person who doesn't daven with dimdume chamo, that means he doesn't daven in the beginning of his day. It refers to when the sun is coming up for Netzach Chama. And more specifically, it's talking about the end of the day, right before the sun sets the Shkia. It's a mitzvah to daven im dimdume chava. What's the verse that supports this? It says in the Pasuk, Yiraucha im shemesh v'lifnei yareach dor dorim. Those who will have all of you with the shemesh, that means as the shemesh is coming up, the Netzach Chama, the person has just said Kriya Shema, was mekav upon himself all malchus shamayim, and he daven Shmona Esrei as the sun comes up. V'lifnei yareach dor dorim, and before the moon, generations upon generations. That means he davens at the very end of the day, the mincha, right before the shkia. So over here, the Gemara has said that the lashon keva tfilaso, it's a choy kavua, that he's davening in such a way that he's not makpid to daven be'eis rotzen at exactly the most opportune time. Says the Gemara, laiti Allah b'ma'arava, in the West, in Eretz Yisrael, they would curse somebody who would daven at the very end of the day, right before the Shkia. Why? Because since a person might make a mistake, he might get carried away with something else, and he will then cause the time to be elapsed and not daven mincha in its proper time. Therefore, a person who davens at the very end of the day, right before the Shkia, is in a great danger, and therefore they would curse a person who davens mincha at the very end of the day, when it says lifnei yarech dor dorim. My taimo, says the Gemara, dilma mitrifalei shaitza, like we just explained, perhaps the time will become nitraf. He'll cause him to then lose the right time of davening the mincha before the shkia. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yoshua Oimer, the mahalech b'makom sakona mispalo tefila kitzara. Quote from our Mishnah: when a person is in makom sakona, dangerous situation, there's a tefila kitzara they can say, and it says b'chol parshas ha'ibur. The Gemara is going to explain these words, but let's just say once again that here we're talking about a tefila kitzara. In a dangerous situation, a person cannot daven Shmona Esrei, so he davens a tefila kitzara, a very short, brief type of tefillah. Now, this type of tefillah is not the same tefillah we explained before on Amud Aleph, that there's a havinenu, where a person will make a tefillah and make an abridged Shmona Esrei. Either, we said, he makes a long middle bracha of havinenu with the composite of all the other brachos, or we explained it to mean that he will still say all 18 brachos, but he will make it in the beginning and the end of all of the middle brachos, tchila v'soif, so it'll be an abridged type of Shmona Esrei. There, it's a complete Shmona Esrei. In other words, there we said if a person is in a situation where he can daven the Shmona Esrei with more time afterwards, he's not obligated to go back and daven. He fulfilled his obligation. But here in our Mishnah, which discusses a tefillah kitzara, that means that a person did not daven Shmona Esrei, and therefore when he gets out of that makom sakon on his yishuv hadas, let's say it's the afternoon and it's still time to daven mincha, he must go back and daven Shmona Esrei. He must daven the mincha service. Says the Gemara, my parshas ha'ibur, what is meant when he says these words, Parshas Ha'ibor in his Tefillah Kitzara. Amar Rav Chizda, Amar Mar Ukva, Afilu b'shah sha'ata mismale aleim evra ki isha ubara. Even in times when you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are angry, like a pregnant woman, you're filled up with anger like a woman who's filled up with her ubar. So even in that situation, Yehu kol tzarkeim lefanecha, may all of their needs be in front of you, and therefore may be revealed before you, to be merachem, to have pity and rachamim and mercy on them. Ike de Amre, there are those that say, Omar Chizam Mar Ukvo Afilu B'Shoshem Oivrim Al Divrei Torah. You call tzarkeim lefanecha, even when they are transgressing your Torah. It's another way of explaining the word ibur, but the connotation is the same, in the sense that it means that they're oiver your ratzon, they're oiver your Torah, they're transgressing your words. Still, kol tzarkeim lefanecha, may all of their needs be revealed to you, that you should then have rachamim upon them. Tanu Rabban, the Gemara brings a braysa. Hamahalech b'makam gidudei chayav listim mispalot tefillah k'tzara. When a person is in makam sakana, because there's dangerous animals or bandits in the area, he davens a tefillah k'tzara. Ve'ezu tefillah k'tzara. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, the words are as follows: Asei ritzoincha b'shamayim mima'al v'sei nachas ruach lirecha mitachas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do your will in the Shamayim, and you shall have nachas ruach from those who fear you down below. V'hatoiv be'einecha asei. And although we do not know exactly what is good for us, but what is good in your eyes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu do on our behalf. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, the tefillah is as follows: Shma shav'as amcho Yisrael v'asei meheiro bakashosam. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. Listen to the outcry of your people Yisrael, and do quickly what they are requesting of you. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Tzaddik Omer, he says something almost identical. Shma tza'akas amcho Yisrael v'asei meheiro bakashosam. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. What's the difference between the first version of Shavas Amcho Yisrael and Tza'akas Amcho Yisrael? Tza'aka means that there's an outcry of the heart. Whether it's a screaming out, he can't enumerate, he cannot say and express his words, but he's screaming out. Or he's screaming out in his heart, even if it's not loud and loud voice, but he's screaming out. Shava is a lashon of that he's screaming out in hysterically screaming out. Not only cannot formulate the words that he wants to express, but he is hysterical. He is hysterical either because the tsar is so great, or he's hysterical because he's so concerned he doesn't know what to do. And therefore, the Shavas Amcha Yisrael is slightly different than the words Tza'akas Amcha Yisrael. Acherim Oimrim, a different tefillah. Tzarchei Amcha Yisrael Merubim V'daitam Kitzara. The needs of your people are many, but their das, the way for them to formulate and to then articulate what they need, is very limited. Yiratzon milfonecha Hashem Elokeinu shetiten lekol echod ve'echod kidei parnasosoi l'chol gvia ve'gvia dei machsoro. Give everybody all of their needs and take care of each and every one of them and all of their lacks. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. Rav Huna halacha ki acherim. When we make a tefillah kitzara, it's in the acherim's version. That's the nusach that we would say. Says the Gemara, which seems to be unrelated over here. Omar le Elio le Rav Yehuda achua de Rav Saleh Chasida. Elio Novi encounters Rav Yehuda achua, the brother of Rav Saleh Chasida, and he says to him the following eitzes: Lo tirtach v'lo secheti. Don't get angry and you shall not sin. Because anger causes a person to lose his slilus hadas, his mind, from being clear-minded and doing what he's supposed to be doing in the correct way. Anger causes him then to sin and do the wrong thing. He also says, Eliyahu Navi, lo sarvi v'lo sachti. Don't become inebriated and don't sin. Similarly, when a person becomes inebriated, he loses his good sense and his mind is not clear to think and to do what is correct. Instead, he comes to sin. And now, which is related to our subject, he says a third eitzah. Ukeshet ata yoytze laderech himolech b'koincha v'tzei. And when you go out on the roads, then take counsel with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and then go out. Ask the Gemara, what was his kavanah when he said these words? Mahi molech b'koincha v'tzei. What does it mean? Take counsel with your Creator and go out. Amar Rav Yaakov, Amar Rav Chizda, zu tfilas haderech. Say tfilas haderech when you're about to go on your travels. Rav Yaakov, Amar Rav Chizda, kol hayotze laderech tzarich lispal tfilas haderech. He says a special tefillah called tfilas haderech when he is on the road. My tfilas haderech. What is the nusach? What is the tfilas haderech we're talking about? Yehi ratzon milfonecho Hashem Elokai shetolicheni l'sholom v'tatzideni l'sholom v'tismecheni l'sholom v'tatzileni mikaf kol oyev v'orev baderech v'tishlach bracha b'maisa yadai v'sitneni lechein u'lechesed u'lerachamim be'einecha u'b'nei kol royai Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah. Says the Gemara, Amar Baye la'olam lishatef in nafshei behadit ziburo. A person should always then include, when he's making a tefillah, he should include it, also including others as well, the rest of Klal Yisrael, because then it's going to be more niskabel, more going to be misratze before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore he should include the Klal Yisrael together with his tefillah. Ask the Gemara, Heichi Nema, how would he say such a tefillah in Tfilas Haderech? He would say, Yehi ratzon milfonecha Hashem Elokeinu shetolichenu l'sholom v'chulei. He would add it b'loshen rabim.